Midrash and Rashi, a new Torah portion, Good Shavua Tov, Parshas Vayeishev. We are embarking upon. Let's get right into the Parsha. We ended off last week with enumerating the descendants of Esav. We now go into the very sort of a main theme of the book, which is the story of Yosef. This week's Parsha. We'll have this Yosef dreams, the selling of Yosef, being in Egypt. All right, let's get right into it. Vayeishev Yaakov, and Yaakov settled Be'eretz in the land Miguri Aviv, of the dwellings, the region of his father, Be'eretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan. Vayeishev Yaakov. V'gomer. And Yaakov settled, etc. After the Torah wrote and said, Yeshuvei Esav, all of the settlings of Esav, right, his the lineage and dwelling and so on, V'toldoisav, and all of his offspring, B'derech tzara, in a very concise manner, right?
Vayeishev is settled, right? And he's settled.
Yeah, like Yashav means to sit.
Uh-huh.
Where you sit is where you're settled,
Okay.
sort of, right? That's the root of it,
Okay.
exactly. Right. Brian, you can need help for something? Okay. So, and it said in a concise manner, b'derech tzara, because they were not treasured by God or held in esteem, to explain in detail how they settled, and to give account of their battles, or to tell how they disposed of the Chayri, the nation of Chayri. It explains to you in detail Yeshuvei Yaakov v'toldoisav, the settlings of Yaakov and his offspring, b'derech harucha, in a lengthy manner. Kol gilgulei is sibosam, the turns of events which cause them, l'fisheim chashuvim, because they are important. Lifnei amakom, before God. Laharich behem, to dwell upon them. Similarly, you find ba'asara deiris, regarding the 10 generations, from Adam until Noach, Pliny, that this one gave birth to this one, right? Okay, and then when it came to Noach, all of a sudden the Torah gives a lengthy account about him, right? Why? Because Noach was important in God's eyes.
When it came to Abraham.
And then, when it came to Noach, he dwells at length by Noach. And likewise, the 10 generations from Noach until Avram. The Torah is very brief about those 10 generations. So Avram, but once it got to Avram, also dwelt at length about him. Mashal, this can be compared to a metaphor, the Margoli Shenofla, to a pearl that fell in the sand. Person feels, goes through the sand, feeling through it, and he sifts through the sand with a sifter. Until he finds the pearls. Once he finds it, he throws the pebbles away. He doesn't need the pebbles anymore. And he takes the pearls, right? That's one explanation.
Yeah.
Right? Davar acher, alternative explanation. Vayeishev Yaakov. Yaakov settled, right? This can be a parable Hapishtani zeh, that a certain flax merchant, nichnasu gemola, his camels entered into town to Ainim Pishtan, laden with flax on their camel. Ade pache sama, and the blacksmith wondered, Ana yikanes is a Pishtan hazeh, where can all of this flax be stored? A lot of flax. So one clever fellow answered him, if one spark goes out from your bellows, right, from the blacksmith, it will burn it all up. Similarly, Yaakov saw all of the chiefs of Esav, that were written in last week's parsha at the end. Amar, he wondered and said, who could conquer all of them? Maksiv Lamatis, what's written beforehand by the chiefs of Esav. Ela told us Yaakov Yosef. No, actually later on, it's going to say. El told us Yaakov Yosef, these are the offspring of Yaakov Yosef, implying that Yosef is the solution for the problem of the chiefs of Esav. Uksiv, and it's written, V'haya beis Yaakov leish, that the house of Jacob is fire, right?
Wow.
Beis Yosef lahava, and Yosef, the house of Yosef is a flame. Beis Esav lakash, and the house of Esav is straw. He's a straw man. Right? And he to say to me Yosef, so one spark will go forth from Yosef, Shemechala, which will annihilate the Seder Kulam and burn them all up.
I understand that, but I don't get how all that came from Yaakov settled.
Since, good question. I'm not certain either. We have to look at the Rebbe Sikha. Maybe we'll have time for that. But yeah, there's a lot of questions on this. It's juxtaposed to all of the descendants of Esav,
Yeah.
right? So I guess that's what Rashi is, the juxtaposition. But still, how do you get from the juxtaposition from the words Vayeishev Yaakov, which he's going on, right? That he's settled. I guess settled, the way I'm taking settled means not just settled in a physical sense, but settled in spirit. How did he settle in spirit when there's all of these chiefs of Esav?
Yeah.
How are they going to be dealt with?
And they're all like the flags.
So that's the next verse. Ela told us Yaakov. You see, there's a Vagoimer over here when he explains it. It's not just on the words Vayeishev Yaakov. Vagoimer means etc. Means the rest of the verse and maybe even to the next verse where it says, "Told us Yaakov is Yaakov is Yosef." How's the descendants of Yaakov Yosef? Right, he's one.
Yeah.
Of 12.
Yeah.
Right. So bringing that together, the continuum of the chiefs of what do we have all the chiefs? We had one explanation why we had all the chiefs is because they're considered as nothing.
Yeah.
Right, compared to Yaakov and his descendants, right? Just like Noach compared to the previous generations and Avraham compared to the 10 previous generations, right? Similar idea. This explanation is giving a different one and saying that you have this powerhouse of Esav with all his, right? And he's dwelling, meaning he's got a certain permanence. How's that permanence going to happen? Is because the offspring of Yaakov, Yosef, will be able to destroy. He will be that spark of the blacksmith, right? That will go forward and burn the straw of Esav.
So that's like settling, like kind of
like settling the matter.
yeah,
And yeah, so it's taking it out of context. That's the way I'm understanding. But
Yeah.
well, let's see what the Rebbe
All
has to
right.
say on it. Okay, but excellent question. Excellent question. Okay. Ela told us Yaakov. These are the descendants, offspring of Yaakov. Yosef, Mishras Shana. Yosef was 17 years old. Hayaraya, he was a shepherd. Es Echav, with his brothers, Batsoin, with sheep, with flock. Vahu Nar, and he is a young lad. As Bila, meaning he's a youth, together with the sons of Bnei Bila, of the children of the sons of Bila.
Yeah.
There's Bnei Zilpa and the sons of Zilpa, Neshei Aviv, the wives of his father. Yav Yosef, and Yosef brought as the Bosam Ra. He brought their evil reports, Elavim, to their father. Okay, Rashi, lots over here.
Rabbi, can you scroll up, please?
Yes, sorry. I just
Thank
realized.
you.
Thank you. Ela told us Yaakov, these are the offsprings of Yaakov. Ela shel told us Yaakov, and these are the offsprings of Yaakov. Ela yeshuveihem, these are the settlings, the Gilgoleihem, in the turn of events, Ashabol, the cloud, Yishuv, until they arrive to the stage of permanent residence. Siba Rishona, what's the first cause? And others that they came to a permanent residence, and all the whole, story. Yosef ben Shvazvig, that Yosef is the age of 17. Through this, and his Galgala, there was a chain of events, that they descended to Egypt. This is one of the explanations of the simple meaning of the verse. That each word in its proper setting. So what he's saying over here, that this is not really what he's saying, that this is not the offspring, but in order, he's connecting that there's a settling, right? So there's eternal events that happen that bring that ultimately there'll be a settle their settlings, which will be ultimately they're going to descend down to Egypt, which is interesting.
So but this isn't referring to their settling in Egypt. This is referring to their settling in Israel.
No. Ultimately, there'll be eternal events, and offspring over here doesn't mean offspring means over here.
Includes Yosef.
It's only Yosef. Doesn't just include Yosef. It's only Yosef, right? And this is of the offspring of Yosef, of Yaakov, that will create the settling of the Jewish people, which will be ultimately that they become a nation. In other words, this is the order of events that will happen that will create the Jewish people, which means going down to Egypt ultimately, right? That through that they're going to become a Jewish people.
Oh yeah, so it's actually kind of straightforward in this sense.
Well,
It's like this is the beginning of the process that's going to lead to
exactly. Okay. Midrash Haggadah Derish, the expounded meaning is as follows: Sola Kosef told days, Yaakov Yosef. The verse hung the title of Yaakov's offspring upon Yosef, right? Only mentioning him. Why? For several reasons. Achas mikol. Because the whole of Yaakov's purpose to work by Lavan was only for Rachel. And furthermore, that's the first explanation. Yosef's stately appearance resembled his. Ma'ashelo Rabbi Yaakov, and another reason is because everything that happened to Yaakov, Yosef happened to Yosef. Then Istam, and this one was hated. Then Istam, this one, and this one was hated, right? Yaakov was hated by Esav, and Yosef was hated by his brothers. Then this when the brothers sought to kill him.
Yeah.
This when his brothers went to kill him. And similarly, many things between the Bereshit Rabbah is brought down in the Midrash. Psh. Wow. Okay. Oid Nidrash, another explanation. Right, a third one. Vayeishev and Yaakov settled because Yaakov wanted to dwell in tranquility. But then the whole ordeal of Yosef sprung up upon him. The righteous, they want to dwell in tranquility, right? Meaning they want to sit and daven, they want to sit and learn, they want to sit and meditate upon Hashem, right? That's the tranquility that they're looking for. Not to sit in the sun. Amar Kodesh Baruch Hu, Hashem said, the righteous do not consider that which is prepared for them in the world to come to be enough for them. But they're seeking to dwell in tranquility in this world too. In other words, you're going to get the tranquility, but not now. You're going to get in the world to come. Here, you're going to struggle. So what does he have to do? He has to struggle. He has to struggle with the whole story of Yosef. Okay?
So it's saying Yaakov wanted to sit in the sun, basically.
Not in the sun. I said not in the sun. He wanted to sit and daven and learn.
Yeah.
That's not sitting in the sun.
But he
in the sunlight of godliness.
He didn't want to struggle, though.
He didn't want to struggle.
But is it saying that Yosef?
Oh, then comes a whole ordeal with Yosef, so he's struggling.
Oh, okay. So Yosef is kind of the reason why he's struggling.
Well, that's why he struggles, right?
Okay, I get it.
But Nar, and he was a youth. Shahaya Isa Mysanairis. What do you mean who Nar? Implied over here is that he associated with youth, Misakin Misaira, he would fix his hair, Mishamish Be'enav, and he would groom his eyes, that he should look attractive. Right? 17-year-old shtick. There's been a Billah with the sons of Billah, Kalaimar, that is to say, the Raglet, so Billah, he was regularly found with the sons of Billah and Zilpah, the secondary wives of Ishah, because the brothers that came from Leah would denigrate him. And he would befriend the other boys, other brothers from Zilpah, from Billah and Zilpah. As the Basim wrong. Their evil reports, all of the evil he would see in his brothers, Leah, the sons of Leah, he would tell his father. What was that? That they were eating a limb from a detached living animal, which you're not allowed to. It tells him and that he belittled the sons of the secondary wives, right? And the Kreisam Avadim, calling them servants. And they were suspect of sexual immorality. And in retribution, Yosef was stricken with three areas. Because he spoke about the limb detached from the animal. And Torah tells us, they slaughtered a goat, right, when they sold him, right? But they did not eat it alive. Right. In other words, juxtaposed to what he was saying about them happened to him as a result. And what was that? They slaughtered an animal and didn't eat it, alive. And because it related him to them, that their brothers are called servants. So Levid Nimkar, he was sold. Yosef was sold as a slave. And concerning the sexual morality that he related about them, so the wife's master cast his eyes upon him and wanted to lie with him, right? So all these things happened to him, which he said about his brothers.
But it's not saying whether that's like a punishment. It's just saying that that's what happened.
Right. I mean, it was. It is a punishment that is, measure for measure.
But so it was wrong that he reported what his brothers were saying?
Excellent question, and we're going to leave that right now.
Okay.
But we'll try to pick that up with the Rebbe if we have time.
Okay.
The Bassam reports Leshen Diba in Old French, parle dis. Anything that he could speak negative about them, even about them, he would relate to his father. It's related to the words from the lips of those who slumber speak. Okay.
Like casually.
It was easy for him just to mouth off.
Yeah.
That's what it means. Okay. Verse number 3. Israel Vayeishev, and Israel, meaning Jacob, right? His father, loved Yosef, Mikol Bana, from all of his sons, because he was a son in his old age to him. Also, and he made for him, he made for him a Xenis Pasim, a coat of many colors, as right? Rashi, Ben Zikunim, a child of his old age. Yosef was born to him in the time of Yaakov's old age. Onkelos Tirgim, and Onkelos explains it. Bar Chakim Hula, that he was a wise son to him. Kol Ma Shalamad, everything that Yaakov had learned, Yeshem Be'aver, in the yeshiva of Yeshem Be'aver, Masaloi, he gave over to him because he was smart. Because the word zaken over here, because who is a elder? Someone who acquires knowledge.
Yeah.
Right? So he had the wisdom and he passed it on to his son. That's how Onkelos translates it. Now, Rashi doesn't. Rashi doesn't, but that's how Onkelos does. Huh?
Specifically to Yosef, that's what.
Right, because the verse is saying that.
Yeah.
Right. Davar acher, a third explanation. Yosef, it's called Ben Zikunim. Shahaya Zib Unkanun Shalai, because he had his appearance was that Daimalai, that which resembled Yaakov's. I don't know how you get that from the words Ben Zikunim. I'm not clear on that. Like, where do you see that in? Okay.
Yeah.
Pasim is a new word, right? So it's a fine wool. Lashon Kli Milas. It's a garment of fine wool. Kamai Carpets v'sechelis. Carpets in turquoise wool. Kamai Ksenis Apasim. Nisama de Amnon. Amnon. Okay, that's the simple meaning, right? That it's a fine wool. The Gadic interpretation is Al Shem Tzareisa, because of the troubles in Nimka the Potiphar, that he would be sold to Potiphar in Egypt, L'Seichim, and to the merchants, L'Ishmaelim, and the Ishmaelites, L'Midyanim, and from the Midianites.
So because of all these tribulations, that's what made it fine?
I don't know. I don't understand this, quite frank. Let me just see. Hasim is an acronym for Potiphar, Seichrim, Ishmaelim, and Midian. And I was alluding to it's alluding to the troubles that he would deal with, right? And Pasim is an acronym for those 4 troubles that he would deal with. Potiphar, merchants.
Sorry, what does pasta mean? It means fine, or it means like.
First explanation, we said it means fine wool. Second explanation, the word is an acronym.
Oh, I see.
For 4 different troubles that he would have to deal with. Now, why Rashi brings that in for a simple meaning of the, he says it's midrash, but why would he have that as a second explanation? I don't know.
So do we see this word elsewhere, or is this like the one time we ever see this word?
Well, it'll be repeated later, but it's the first time we see it. Yes.
Okay.
It's the first time we see it. So that's why Rashi is, explaining.
Yeah.
Okay. Vayiru Echav. And Vayiru, and they saw Echav, his brothers. What did they see? I say that he, meaning Yosef, Ahev Avim, their father loved Mikol Echav from all of his brothers. V'yisnu I say, and they hated him. And they were not able to speak to him peaceably. Rashi lo yachal ledaber l'shalom, right? They could not speak peaceably, right? Mitoich nusam lamadnu shifcham, from the discredit, from the negativity of them, right? We learned something positive about them, a praise to them. What is that? They didn't speak one thing in the heart and one thing in the mouth and one thing in the heart. In other words, what was on their heart, they spoke. They weren't duplicitous, right? That they had hatred in their heart, and they spoke lovingly in their mouths, right?
Wait,
they didn't do
they
that.
did not do that. They just were blunt.
They expressed what they really truly
Yeah.
felt, right? Daber, he might to speak with him. Yosef, and Yosef had a dream, chalaim, a dream, and he told to his brothers, and they continued to hate him. And he said to them, Yosef said, Shimu, no, please listen. To this dream, that I've dreamed. And behold, that we were binding sheaves in the midst of the field. And my sheaf stood upright, and remained upright. And behold, your sheaves prostrated themselves and bowed down to, no, sorry. Your sheaves formed a circle, but and they bowed down before my sheaf, right? Showing a dominance that he has over them, obviously,
It's
right?
telling them this.
Huh?
He's telling them this.
Exactly. Good thing to tell brothers that don't like you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Rashi, mal limim alumim. There should be on the Suki Targum according to Onkeles. Ma'asrin asarin, amrim, they were binding sheaves. Chenes aluma yisab, carrying of the sheaves, as we say in Shir Amalis by benching. Kamoyo balash Mishnah. Similarly, we have this term in the Mishnah. Haluma znaitam umachis. You take the sheaves and you announce. I think it means like a lost bundle of sheaves. I'm just giving an example of where we see it elsewhere.
Okay.
Kama alumasi, my sheaf arose. Niskafa stood erect. Begam nitzavan also remained. Lamoid alam amda, to stand in its position. Bezikfa, erectly.
Okay.
8. Vayeimru loy, and they said to him, his brothers, Amalech timlech, Alena, are you going to reign over us? Imashal timshal banu, you're going to rule over us. Yosifu, and they added oid lisnai, further to hate, I say him, al chalam oisa, on over his dreams, concerning his dreams, al devarav, and because of his words. Rashi al devarav, al dibasam rasha hayam mevil aviyam. What does that mean? Because he just spoke to them about the dream. So what do you mean on the basam, on advarav rade, on his words? Meaning the words that he shared with his father about them, right? Incriminating them. Rashi, v'yachleim chalaim, acher, and he dreamt yet another dream. Yisaper, I say, and he related it le'achav to his brothers. V'yomer, and he said, Hine behold chalamti chalaim, I dreamed the dream. Oid, a further dream, another dream. Hine Shemesh v'yareach, and behold the sun and the moon, v'achadasar kechavim, and 11 stars, mishtachavim li, are prostrating, bowing to me. Yisapre el aviv, and he went and told, right, this dream, he went and retold it to his father. El echav, and to his brothers, meaning in the presence of his brothers, to the father, right?
Yeah.
The Yigar Boyov, even his father, screamed at him, chided him, says here, it translates over here. Okay. And he said to him, Yaakov said to his son Yosef, what is this dream, Asher Chalamta, that you've dreamt? Havoi navoi, we will come, Ani, Imcha, and your mother, V'achecha, and your brothers, to bow before you to the ground. Right? So he's kind of making little of it, right? Let's see Rashi on this. V'yisaper of the Velechav, and he related this to his father and his brothers. After he related it only to his brothers, he went and repeated it over again and related to his father b'fneim, in their presence, right? The Yigar boy, and his father scolded him. Yeah, that's a good translation. Scolded. Because he was creating hatred against himself.
Not for what he was saying, but just for the fact he was getting his brothers to hate him even more.
Exactly. We'll see in a moment. We'll see in a moment. Are we to come? How can we come? Your mother already died. In other words, in the dream, she's there bowing, but she's not alive.
Yeah.
But Yaakov didn't know that these words of the dream, refer to Bilhah. She gedalta the Kimai, because she raised Bilhah was the
Concubine.
yeah, but she raised Yosef like his mother, right? Because remember Yosef, how old was when she died? She was 36. Good question, how old? I'm not certain how old she was. So it was Bilhah that this is referring to. Shegid Lokima, that she raised him like a mother. That's one explanation, right? But our sages learn from Shein Chaloim Lo Dvarim B'Teilim, that there's no dream that doesn't have something senseless to the dream. In other words, the dream might be a very important message that God is giving to you in it, but there'll be some details there that are senseless. And what Yaakov was trying to do in this, he's trying to remove the matter from the heart of his sons. Shaloi, he knew that they shouldn't be jealous of Yosef. That's why he said to Yosef, are we going to come and we're going to bow down? Implying, just like it's impossible for your mother to come and bow down. But likewise, the rest of it is nullified. In other words, it ain't happening. He was only doing that to diffuse it, because look at the next verse. And his brothers remain jealous of him. The Aviv and his father, Shamas Adavar, he heeded the thing. Translates over here, waited expectantly for the matter to unfold. In other words, he knew it was the truth. But he just wanted to diffuse things, right? Rashi Shamas Hadavar, Hayamamtin, who was waiting, and looking forward, Masa Yavai, when will it come true? The dream. Similarly, we find the word Shomer, waiting, the fulfillment of God's promise. Right? Just showing a similar idea that the word Shomer means to guard usually, right? But here it means to await, right? Like to wait for something to occur.
Yeah.
In a sense, you're guarding it to wait.
Yeah.
In the waiting, that's how you're guarding.
Yeah.
You're guarding in your heart that which you're hoping is going to happen.
He's not just waiting, like, I don't know what's gonna happen, like, but he's
No,
kinda like,
but he knows that there's something here.
yeah. Which kind of goes back to the dream aspect of like where they're, if I understood it
Well, we're
correctly.
talking about the dream here.
Well,
That's
I
what we're
understand.
talking about, the dream, that when will this happen? That the family's going to bow down to him.
Mhm.
Right. It's about the dream that he's guarding.
Yeah,
In other words, that this will happen. In other words, what we see over here, that this is all the relating in the beginning with the settling,
Mhm.
and that Yosef is he is the
Yeah.
main offspring,
Yeah,
right? Because he through this is how we're going to eventually have a nation, right?
yeah,
So he's waiting for all of this to unfold. That's what it means over here.
yeah,
So it's all going to unfold. In other words, he's got the 12 sons and now he's got to develop into a nation. So he's waiting for all of that to unfold. That's
okay.
the point over here, right?
What I don't understand though is about the dream aspect of like there's a part of the dream which like a lot of like some of it is senseless and some of it is there's like a bit of truth into it. Was the other people bowing down to him, like his brothers bowing down to him, and
It's
like
true.
okay, that's so
Well, that's going to end up true, right? They're going to end up bowing down to him when they come looking for food and he's the second in command in Egypt. They are going to bow down to him later on, right?
so where was
The senseless is his mother has passed away, so she's not bowing down.
okay, so that was like the senseless part,
That's
but
the senseless
even
part.
that could
In other words, you know, dreams are um, even when our sages learn out. Remember, this is one of the explanations,
yeah,
right? That even when holy people have a dream, there will be details in there that are senseless.
yeah,
Not everything is to perfection.
yeah,
That's what our sages learn out from here.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
I'm waiting to fulfill God's promise. Wow.
This is a great I mean all the Torah is great, but this one really great.
Let's see what the Rebbe
Yeah,
has to share with us. A lot here.
yeah,
There's a lot here.
for sure. Hmm.
Well, what we just said, right? He was waiting to see that it should happen, right?
Yeah, at the end of the portion.
Mm. So you can ask a question: why Yosef is his, um, beloved child, right?
Yep.
So means he wants to see him grow up. Why would he wait until that Yosef is going to be ruling over the rest of his sons? So much so that they're going to bow down to him.
So why is he waiting for that? Why isn't he?
He's just, he doesn't want to see his son grow up,
Mhm.
So Yaakov knew that in the end, that he and his children have to go down to Egypt. How come? Because this was told to Avram, right? When Avram was first told that he's going to get the land of Israel, right? He said, but before that, you're going to go into a land that is foreign to you, and you will be servants there, right? But that decree, God made that decree, right? Said you're going to be servants, right? Actually, 400 years. And that decree could be fulfilled in many different ways. Right? They could have gone down in chains as slaves
Yeah.
into Egypt, right?
Uh-huh.
So Yaakov therefore was waiting that this decree of God would be fulfilled through Yosef's dream, In other words, the Yosef is going to be the ruler of Egypt, right? And therefore, the going down of Yaakov and his sons will be in an honorable manner, not in chains,
Yeah.
right? Wow. But you can still ask. Okay. So that's enough then. That's enough that what? That Yosef needs to be the second in command in Egypt. So therefore they go down honorably rather than in chains, right? But why do the brothers have to bow down to him? Why is that necessary? Psh. So the Rebbe says, according to Chassidus, he explained, not the
Yeah.
simple meaning. Till now, he was explaining simple meaning in Rashi, but in Chassidus, he could explain that there's a difference between serving God on the level of Yosef to that of the rest of the Shvatim. The rest of the Shvatim, the tribes,
Yeah.
they were shepherds. Their engagement allowed them to separate themselves from the world. Therefore, they could serve God without any troubles, and they didn't have to, they didn't deal with worldly matters.
Yeah.
Right? Taking sheep in the field,
Hello.
meditating in the field, it's quiet, it's serene, tranquil, right? As opposed to being the second in command, which is running a country, which was what Yosef did, right? That running of the country is means you have to deal with materiality of the world that is, there's no end to it as being running a country with many people. And together with that, not only that, but it's going to take away from your cleaving and to godliness as a result, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I made a mistake. I read it wrongly. That nonetheless, even though Yosef did have to deal with all of these material things as second in command, it did not take away from his cleaving to God, to godliness, right? And not only that, but to try and bring that into Egypt itself.
Mhm.
That's why Yaakov waited that the Shvatim should bow down to Yosef. Through that, there will be a nullification to Yosef, that they will also, the rest of the Shvatim, will be able to receive from him the power, the unique power, how to cleave to God, even when you're in Egypt. Wow. Which would give them the power how to cleave to God, even when you're in the depth of exile.
Mhm.
Wow, wow, wow.
So he was the leader of that generation.
Huh?
Yosef was the leader of that generation.
Well, he
Rebbe,
became,
like Rebbe.
yeah.
So the Rebbe is saying that Yaakov recognized that in Yosef. That's why he was waiting.
Second. Sorry?
The Rebbe is saying that Yaakov recognized that in Yosef, and that's why he was waiting.
Yeah.
But at that
He knew we're going down to Egypt.
Yeah.
The question is how we're going down to Egypt. He knew that we're going to exile.
Yeah.
Right? He knew that. That was part of what God said to Abraham. Right? So that was not an issue. The question is how you're going down.
Yeah.
Are you going to go down in chains? Or are you going to down honorably? Well, they went down honorably. Why? Because Yosef was the second in command. So okay, fine. So what do you need the brothers to bow down? Because the brothers had to nullify their way of serving God, of being shepherds in a tranquil environment, to bow down to the way that Yosef serves God,
Yeah.
that he is a second in command in Egypt, meaning he's got to deal with the materiality of the land of Egypt. That was his job, right?
Yeah.
And yet not to be unfaithful to his faith and to cleave to God and to bring godliness into the world around him. He was able to do that.
Yeah.
Well, going into Egypt, the entire people are going into Egypt. That's what's going to happen. You're going to be enslaved. Well, are you going to now be able to still remain faithful to your faith or not? So that's why they had to bow down to him.
Because he did.
Because he in fact did, and therefore they need to bow to his way. That's the point. Okay?
And he elevated Egypt in the process.
He elevated it.
Egypt.
Yeah, exactly.
Not in the ship.
Yeah. So Yaakov, at the beginning, quickly, because we gotta get ready for. Okay. He wanted to dwell in peace, right? We said. So God brought upon him the whole story of Yosef, right?
Interesting. Okay. So he was able to dwell in peace because his son was.
No, he wanted, remember.
He wanted to.
Remember, that was one of the explanations we gave, right?
Yeah.
The third explanation of they wanted to dwell in peace, right? Vayeishev. What does it mean, Vayeishev Yaakov, right? What does it mean he dwelled? What does it mean he dwelled? He wanted to dwell in peace. He wanted, he had enough already, what he went through. He went through Esav, right? He went through Lavan. He went through so many different challenges, right? And now he comes with a perfect family that they're all 12 are following the path, right? He's the only one. Avram had Yishmael, Yitzchak had Esav, and he's got a complete case. Now let me bring up my family in a, in a settled way.
Yeah.
So, right? That's so.
That's what he wanted.
Right. And God says, no. I'm going to bring up the tribulations of Yosef upon you. I said, so what's going on here that why is it why is Rashi bringing that his desire to have the tranquility is is what, as a result of that, came the whole episode of Yosef. Isn't it, anyways, that Yosef had to go down to Egypt, right? As the decree was to Avraham that we will go down into Egypt, right? That was already that, and it was going to be from the children of Yaakov that this was going to happen, right? Hey, you know what? don't have enough time to look that up. Okay, we'll see you shortly, folks. Okay, amazing, everybody. Thank you for